G'day gorgeous, and welcome to the podcast that's dedicated to turning entrepreneurial women into a millionaires from the inside out and enriching lives for generations to come. This week's podcast is a question from Marianne inside our Millionaires community, and she asks, Amanda, I have a business with 5 staff members who I feel responsible for. On the outside, I pretend I'm in control, but on the inside, I feel totally stressed, fearful of failure, and I'm just holding it together. How do you show up like a business leader even when you don't feel like a leader most days? Now, I would say this is a question on millions of people's minds right now. However, there are always solutions to our problems, so I'm really looking forward to sharing some insights and ideas right now. The G'day Gorgeous podcast is where you're going to get raw, real, and relatable stories, guidance, and proven formulas that can help you overcome your frustrations and live a life you truly love every day with more certainty. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson. I am a best-selling author, an inspirational speaker, entrepreneur, and a millionaires mentor. And if you love the idea of being a millionaires too, pop over and visit us at gdaygorgeous.com or click the link in the notes below, gdaygorgeous.com. And of course, be sure to have your journal and a lovely cuppa ready for some inspiration today. Let's get into the heart of Marianne's question. Good morning, gorgeous ladies. Welcome to today's podcast. I will give you a moment to jump on and join me for another fun-filled, value-filled podcast in very, very crazy times out there right now. All of you incredible millionaires, entrepreneurs, and if you're brand new to this podcast, this does not matter whether you're an employee, a subcontractor, or a business owner, a leader in any way, shape, or form, even if you are in a company structure, CEO, CFO, the UFO, it doesn't matter who you are or what your title is. This is the time that we must band together and really think about where we are now in our business and where we are going. So I appreciate so many of you jumping on this morning. I know that right now we are living in very uncertain times, very trying times for everyone included. And the reason that I wanted to do this podcast, it came in from a question from one of our millionaires ladies that follows us. I'm going to read out the question because I really want to delve into some strategies and a couple of ideas, because my role as a mentor sitting here right now is to help you think differently and pivot. And the last thing that we can afford to do in business and as leaders is sit back on our laurels and just wait for things to get better, wait for these times to pass, because we are all in the same boat. We have no idea how long this is going to take. However, I know that there is never one side of the coin, and in life, in times of perceived disaster, there is always a hidden benefit, and it's up to us to find those hidden benefits. It is awesome to see so many here today on this particular podcast. And here's the question, and the reason I know so many people have jumped on today's podcast. This is from Marianne. Amanda, I have a business with 5 staff members who I feel responsible for. On the outside, I pretend I'm in control, but on the inside, I feel totally stressed, fearful of failure, and just holding it together. How do you show up like a business leader when you don't feel like a leader most days? Now, give me a sign, ladies, if you can relate to that. If you're listening to this podcast, jump on and give a comment. I don't think there's a single business leader out there right now, even whether we're going through this turmoil in the economy right now or just in normal times. I don't believe there's a single business leader that doesn't feel like this sometimes. You wake up and you feel like you've got the world on your shoulders. You've got staff members who you know are looking to you for leadership. They're relying on you for the income. And if there's turmoil thrown into the mix like there is around the globe right now, then it even adds the stress. And as a business leader, sometimes you look in the mirror and you go, what am I doing? Can I even cope with this? Am I cut out for this? How am I going to get through? And the last thing you feel like is turning up to your place of business and having to face not only the people or the team that you work with, but on top of that, all of the stuff that comes with running a business, the thousands and thousands of things that sit on our shoulders as business owners and business leaders. I mean, who feels like that? It cannot be just me. I know how it feels. And the great thing about this podcast today, and I want to make it real clear, I'm going to be very frank. I'm going to be very honest and raw. And that's the whole point of this podcast, because I've been on both sides of the fence. I've had the 33 jobs, but I've also had 14 different businesses. And so I can see from both ends of the stick how each person who plays a role within a company can feel at times. But for this particular podcast today, to answer Marianne's question, I'm going to come at it from a leader point of view, because here's the thing, it's all about our attitude. And when you are a leader in your business, there's a couple of things that we must maintain as leaders, and that is how we show up. Yes, sometimes we wake up and the last thing we do is want to face the music. The last thing we want to do is have team players look at us for guidance, look at us for the solution, look at us for the answers, and getting paid for it. When we are in turmoil ourselves, we're not sure where the next dollar's coming from. We're not sure what the future holds for our business. I mean, right now in Australia, I think in the last 3 days, 88,000 jobs lost. And they're talking, I think, in terms of 2 million jobs could be lost. Countless business shut down. And so as a leader, how do we cope with this? But here's the thing, and I don't think there's ever been a more critical time in history to really maintain your personal standards and your personal attitude, your personal empowerment. And yes, I talk about this week in, week out on this podcast, but as we can see in the lead up to what's going on right now is not a time to sit back and just wait to see how the government takes care of us, wait to see what happens next, wait to see if and when it's all going to blow over, because none of us know the answer to that. And here's the thing, we as leaders must lead by actions, not necessarily words. And I want to put it like this. When people are watching you, especially your team, your staff members, other people around you, friends and family, if you are a business leader, you are being watched. And children learn by watching their parents. They learn by copying behaviors, copying words, copying tonalities and things like that. That's how our subconscious mind is formed. That's where we pick up our traits and our habits and take them right through our life, unless we make a conscious decision to change those patterns of thought. And so coming back into a leadership role, even though right now, you may not be feeling, confident, you might be feeling stressed, worried about failure, how you turn up in this time and right now is critical. And so the thing you must ask yourself is, okay, what are my standards? I've still got to show up and act in faith. Now, when I say act in faith, faith is the ability to act in spite of the information that you have. Faith is the ability to act in spite of the fears that you are feeling boiling up inside of you, because people are watching you. Now, this is a time that you can become a standout millionaires leader or retract and shrink back. But what's going to happen from that is your people are going to follow you. And so this is where we've got to come out now. And as a leader, I believe it is our responsibility to really focus on a small group of things or a small number of things in our business. And I want to call this our vitals, or for me, in my business, there's only 5 things that I want to concentrate on right now, because if you're retracting or your business is retracting, but right now we've got to find a way to keep going, and even grow, we've got to think differently than we are. So not only do I talk about empowerment here, we've got to think in ways of, well, what are we focusing on? This is what I want you to start writing down in your journal. Right now in your business on a day-to-day. Now, I want you to think about this because I'm going to be bringing up staff, entrepreneurs, contractors, the whole thing. You need to make a list, literally, of minute by minute by minute, what you actually do each and every day in your business. You would be totally surprised, as I have been many times, of how much time we spend focused on things that are not going to change the trajectory of our business. We focus on things that are not going to bring revenue or customers into the business. We focus on things that are taking us down a different garden path to where we must keep going to get through these uncertain times. But not only to get through these uncertain times, to keep prospering and keep growing and keep showing up as a leader. Because I think I said it on last week's podcast, there are going to be people that absolutely lose everything in this time. However, on the flip side of that, there are going to be people that prosper, where we turn our problems into our opportunity. And I believe right now, I said it in today's podcast, this is an emergency. This is critical. As the leader or the owner of your company and your staff, your team, everyone needs to write down exactly what they do every minute of the day. And here's what I would say to you. And I'm going to be doing this with all of my team because we've got team players in Australia. I've actually got staff members. I've got contractors in different parts of the world from America to the Philippines. And we're about to grow our business. We've got to huddle together now and really ask ourselves some serious and hard questions, because here's what I see coming as a business leader and what I want to prevent. Two things: that I don't become obsolete in my business, nor my team become obsolete. And this is a very, very real possibility. And I say that with hand on heart because, this is the worst time when you've got people looking at you, especially if you own the business. People are going, well, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay the mortgage? Well, on the flip side of that, the business owner is asking themselves, how am I going to make repayments on my business loan? How am I going to keep the doors open? How am I going to keep the dream alive that I've had for many years? I have put my ass on the line here. I have given it everything, years and years and years of my life. It has been my dream. I've taken all the risk. I've invested all my savings. I've pulled money out of my house. I've borrowed money off other people, off other institutions, to make this dream become a reality. And so there's so much pressure coming from each and every area. It's kind of like a bloody pressure pot right now. And so here's what I would say, and here's what I'm going to do, is pull the team together. And we've got to have some very, very honest and frank conversations with each other and go, okay, what are we focused on? Where can we pivot? What can we change? What is the old way of doing things, but what is the new way? And actually list each and everything that you do. And then as a leader, so I look at that, and I've done this in the last couple of weeks. I've actually self-isolated. We've locked down. We are not leaving the house. We are pretending that we've just gone overseas for a few weeks, because I cannot afford to be complacent with my health and my responsibility. So as a leader, you need to think about this. Wandering around in a time now where the government suggested that we self-isolate, what are your responsibilities, and who to? Not only to your health, your family members, your loved ones, and the people on your team. And so we've got to think about all this, and we've got to get together and huddle and ask ourselves, how do each and every one of us improve? How do each and every one of us come up with 3 different ideas, 3 different solutions to the challenge we are facing now. Because this is your collective mastermind, and never has there been a more critical time to be in a mastermind and stay in a mastermind that is going north, not heading south. Okay, you cannot wallow in a time like this. We've got to keep moving, get the courage pants on and keep moving. So I've done all this for the last week, and I've come up with my 5 S's, and I know you ladies have heard me talk about them again. I'm going to say them, but you need to, in your journal right now, come up with your 3 to 5 vitals in your business that is going to keep you heading true north. Now, my 5 vitals are: I have to concentrate every day on serving. I have to concentrate on speaking, getting my message out there, sharing inspiration, and keeping my team and my followers keep moving north. So that's serving, speaking, specialized knowledge. Now is the time that we've all got to study and learn and hone our craft. We cannot sit back and for a moment believe, because that's just false, believe that what we know now is going to carry us into the future. It won't. I don't believe it will. So how are you going to improve and pivot and change your skill level? Saving whatever money we have, and I always say in a business you need 3 to 6 months of cash flow cushion in a time like this. The only reason that businesses can stay open is by having a cash flow cushion, or a cushion within their business that in a time of crisis when you can't see things coming, you have enough money to keep the doors open if you can. Okay, so what did I get to? Serving, speaking, specialized knowledge, saving and investing, and focusing on the self-love. Now, when I say self-love, this is working harder on myself than anything else. Because if the leader goes down, the leader just stops and freezes in stress and uncertainty, freezes in fear, well, the whole boat goes down, doesn't it? It's kind of like having a captain on a boat who has walked away from the wheel, and you're out to sea, hundreds of miles out to sea, and the captain's just walked away. What is going to happen? A wave will hit the boat and it will just sink. And so this is why the 5 S's that I concentrate on, I know will continue to take me true north. Everything else is going by the wayside. And so I spend my time in the morning, and I did a post this morning on Instagram, in my home gym, self-isolating. It's not a time where I watch videos and I get into karaoke, or drink more than I used to, or have fun, or see it as a time to slacken off. This is a time where I'm pulling on the courage pants and I'm asking myself some very hard questions. How am I going to keep moving forward when others will go by the wayside and become that leader? And so this is what I would say to you. Write down your vitals and ask yourself, what can be pushed to the side right now that is taking me nowhere closer to where I need to go to? Now, I want to share a couple of other things here that I would say to Marianne. Having the 5 staff, I know how that feels. I've had up to, I think, 17 at one stage, with offshore, in-house sales teams, other people that have helped me running the company. So much financial pressure. I know how it feels. And so the days that I didn't feel like a leader, I would get up and I would get dressed as a leader. Remember, you are being watched. Now's not the time to slacken off, even on the way you present yourself. The way you show up is everything right now. You turn up like you did when you were feeling the most successful, not the most stressed. Okay, because they're watching you like children. Everybody is, even your customers. So how you show up is your attitude, and it changes your state. And so I would say to you, and it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a woman listening to this podcast, dress for success. Act as if. You've just got to keep pushing through. You cannot win this any other way. And so I would huddle with my team. And here's going to be a very, very hard thing for a leader right now. You will have team members that in the future will not have the skill, nor the desire, or the attitude that you will need to carry you through these moments. And so this is why I'm saying we have to be honest, we have to be frank and straight up front. It's not a separation anymore. It's not you and them. We have to come together and huddle together and bring the solutions together. And I have done this in the past with my team many, many times. We will bring up 3 of our biggest problems or 3 of our biggest hurdles. I say, how do we turn a problem into an opportunity? Write it down. Whoever's sending love hearts, thank you, right back at you. I'm going on a bit of a rampage today, but you can see I'm speaking from the heart. I am feeling it as you are feeling it. However, I will not retract. We are leaders and we keep going. So I bring my staff together. I'm going to give you 3 examples, and you can just think about your business, put yourself in the shoes of your own company, whether or not you're the staff member, the subcontractor, or the owner of the business. For instance, if you are the owner of your business, here's what I did just recently. I wrote down every area that I know I'm a standout leader. What are the best qualities that I possess that I know will help me move forward, true north, keep going on the road to success? Keep the business open, keep the people employed, keep everything going, head above water, even making profit. I wrote down all those qualities, and that's what I'm going to ask you to do. Then you must focus on only those top 3 to 5 vitals. Ask your team, okay, here's what I'm focusing on as a business owner. Team, who can pick up the slack? Well, first of all, before I did that, I'd just throw out what's not working anymore or push to the side what I know is just wasting time, but then delegate. Now, if your team cannot pick up the pieces of what you're concentrating on that is not a vital, then you've got to ask yourself, what team player needs to go? What team player needs to reskill or upskill, change an attitude, change what they know? You know, this is, like I said, this is going to be a very frank and confronting podcast today because this is the truth. This is what we're facing right now. And I read a book recently from Darren Hardy, who owns Success Magazine. And, you know, he said this. He was interviewing a guy who was very, very successful in business. And this guy said, the thing you've got to remember about business is that your team are not family. They're team players, and you've got to look at it just like you're running a world-leading soccer club, for instance. As a leader, you're sitting on the bench, you're focusing on having the best players on the field. You don't run out there and say, excuse me, I want to kick the ball. I want to see if I can hit a goal right now. You'd get tossed off onto the side. As a team leader, it's not our role to do everything. We've got to have the right team on the bus. We've got to have the right people around us that can keep us going too. And so you've got to ask yourself, have I got the right team on the bus? What do they need to do? The second thing, I look at sales. If my sales are slackening off, they're going down, or they've just stopped, I bring in my team together and go, okay, team, we've each got to come up with 3 solutions. How do we reach out to our customers? How do we turn things around? How do we get movement in the business? Now, your team players may come up with a spectacular idea that they've never voiced before because perhaps they've never felt that they can voice their thoughts. They might feel that you're the type of leader that they can't bring their ideas to the table. So you've got to look at it both ways. You've got to look at yourself in the mirror as well as I do as a team leader and go, okay, how am I leading? Is this a dictatorship, or am I a leader that has people who want to follow the leader? There's so many different ways of looking at this. And, you know, really at a time now, you know, this is where your team can be your best resource. And they might be full of incredible and fresh ideas that you'd never thought of before. Bring them into the inner circle, okay? And just be honest with each other. Now, number 3, if your staff are not feeling enthusiastic or inspired right now, here's the thing. You must look at yourself as a leader and going, well, if my staff are not feeling inspired or enthusiastic because of what's going on, how am I showing up? Again, bring them in. And I talk about with my staff, how is the role you are fulfilling right now serving you and benefiting you in your highest values? So find out what is important for your staff right now. Most people in a time like this would be thinking, wow, financial security, family, health. So I'll just pick those three things right now. So you want to get your staff to have buy-in to your business. You need to get them to link how serving your business, being part of your business, is a benefit to their highest values, their health, their health and well-being, their family, and their financial security right now. I had a conversation with one of my staff members yesterday, and she said, I feel so grateful that my life is easy compared to other people. Yes, it is easy compared to other people. However, the flip side is you've still got to think, how am I evolving to make sure that this position doesn't change? Okay, there is no getting away from it, and so these are little cushions or little bits of food for thought right now. And I think it's a really big mistake for any entrepreneur, for any employee or contractor, to think that it's somebody else's responsibility. I think that we all need to take responsibility for our own lives, for our own outcomes, and find a way. Yes, somebody said it to me this morning. It feels like everybody's saying that we've got to come together, band together. But the question is, you've got to ask yourself, how are you showing up? Whatever role you play within a business, within society, within your family, how are you showing up? What are your children seeing? What are your friends seeing? What is society seeing of you right now? And, we can only be responsible for our own selves and our own attitudes. Again, I will say it, I said it last week. Now is the time to study like crazy. Now is the time to pick up a book, join a program, start a course, be part of a mastermind, and educate yourself like never before. Because, even yesterday, standing in the bedroom thinking about my own business, I'm now coming up with ways to change our business completely. And so, you need to be thinking about this as well. Wherever there's disaster, there's always a hidden opportunity. And that's what I'll be focusing on right now, ladies and guys watching this or listening to this. Where is the opportunity for you and your team right now? And I want to leave you with one last thing that I read in a book by Darren Hardy, and it says this: success has less to do with what we can get ourselves to do and more about keeping ourselves from doing what we shouldn't be doing. And that flips back to the 3 to 5 vitals in your business right now. That is what you must focus on right now with your team. Ask the hard questions, and hopefully you can all come together and move forward. So ladies, that is the podcast for today. That is kind of like a little rampage, hey? And I know I've covered a little bit about this in the last couple of podcasts, but with the way it feels right now, so many people day by day are having new realities, new experiences, new pressures. We all are, but it's how you perceive it. And again, now is not the time to think like the masses. Now is the time to think like a master. Be a masterful leader and be masterful in your family. Show up in your family and society as a leader. I would love to hear your comments. Please comment on this podcast, ask questions, and keep sending your questions in, guys, because this is what gives me great content to talk about. I don't want to talk about what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what questions you have on your mind, and I will give you the answers to the best of my ability, always raw, always real, and always relatable based on my own experiences. Yes, I've been on both sides of the fence, and I would still give the same advice whether I was an employee right now or the owner of any business or any company. So that is it for today, ladies. I really appreciate you joining me. I will be back for more rampaging, inspiration, podcasting Friday morning. In the meantime, leave a comment on how this time is affecting you, or how you are feeling right now in this time and space, even how you're feeling after the message I shared with you today. Has it got you inspired, enthusiastic, or, has it got your goat up? Are you feeling a little bit annoyed, disempowered? It's free speech inside here at Millionaires. I want to know how you're feeling because it helps me to be able to help you more. And I know that as a leader, sometimes I can come across as quite straightforward. But you know what? You've got to stand for something, and sitting back and sugarcoating all this is not the solution right now. I believe that it's time for leaders to step up another notch and take the horse by the reins. My words don't teach, guys. My words will never teach you. You will be watching me, and I know that you will stay in this community based on my actions, not just the words I spoke. You'll be watching, and I'll be watching you. And this is going to be a change of the guards, and it's going to be exciting times for some and not so exciting times for others, but we each have a choice, and I say it nearly every week. We can control three things: our perceptions, which are our thoughts, our decisions, and our actions. Now, more than ever, is the time to get check of our thoughts, change our decisions, and change our actions for a brighter and more prosperous future. Okay, on that note, I am out of here. Love you all, and thank you so much for joining. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast. I truly hope you took some amazing gems and ideas, and a massive thank you to Marianne for sending in your question. No doubt many of us had benefit from today. And of course, till next week, I so appreciate you tuning in to the G'day Gorgeous podcast that's dedicated to turning entrepreneurial women into a millionaires from the inside out, enriching lives for generations to come. And I would really appreciate it if you would share this podcast with your friends, girlfriends, colleagues, family, with anyone that you know will truly benefit from the gold that we share each and every week based on the questions you send in. Lastly, to find out more about my Millionaires mentoring for entrepreneurial women, more about our books and great stories from other women just like yourself, pop over and visit us at g'daygorgeous.com. And of course, till next week, always be bold, be courageous, and be fabulous. Okay, I'll catch you soon. Bye for now.